Hold on for a second. Let me get started. This video is about the American ports left hit by Carthage, known as the Gulf of Carthage, Gulf of Honduras, parts of Gran Canaria, which today will be in Colombia, and parts of Peru. You're going to see the ancient Canaanite, Phoenician, Carthaginian aspect, who they were, specifically who they were, and we're going to be reading today from this book, Africa versus America, La Fuerza del Paradigma, which gonna explain a few things. She got old Spanish records in her family library that she spent most of her life investigating the fraud that she called the fraud of Columbus. She know, because of her ancestors, that this place was the land of the Moors, and the fraud of Columbus was to hide the splitting by the Vatican of the Kingdom of Fez, known at the time as South America. And Carthage, or Mauritania, because if you look at the story of Carthage, Carthage was Mauritania, and it was split into two by the Roman powers after the three Punic Wars. So we're gonna see that story being played out in ancient America. I'm gonna remind you, I might be stopping and explain some stuff, but this is a translation. This book is in Spanish, so I read it in Spanish and I just take out some of the good parts that look for this particular lecture is going to be about Carthage being over here, parts of it. Okay, unlikely the conquerors baptized their foundations. So basically, it's unlikely that the conquerors basically named everything and create these kingdoms over here. Basically what she's saying off top. Which place names rescued from antiquity. So basically we can continue to we can understand that this Carthage is using the place names that still exist today, that wasn't changed or replaced or erased. Still clues left. The authors of the 16th century, and she got the actual documents, called the Gulf of Honduras Cartago, and we know that for a fact. We can go Google map that, for Colon province of Nam, west of Cuba, and the people here tell him that there was a place called Nam around. And Colon means one of the Columbuses. So good bit. It was a Columbus was like a admiral, a sea admiral. And you would get a title of Columbus if you discovered, what the word discover meant recognize or conquer, but they use the word discover in books. basically Honduras. We already in that area. And for Hanon, which is Hanon the Navigator, the last Canaria, in which we dealing with Venezuela area. Where Mount Atlantic and Cape Nam was. So they didn't need no more. They were there. In the southeast of the Ferna or Bay, the authors co-signed a Puerto Cartago, the port of Carthage, later called Higueras, a probable seat of the current Puerto Castilla. So you see how the name changes go after conquests and wars. I remember before this time period she talked, we already got Carthage and Rome in the Western Hemisphere. Capo Bajador, border that separated the conquest, because she got records of different people going on different conquests over here. After the distribution of Canaria by Eugenio the Fourth. So Eugenio the Fourth was one of the popes who split up the kingdom affairs, and Eugenio split up. This 1430. This was before 1492. They're dealing with America. Evidence of the fraud could be the Cape, to which Columbus put thank God, and we're gonna see that later. And the reason he put thank God because the Christian powers been hungry, and they had to rely on Moors to eat. Moors shut down their access. They get certain foods, make them pay extra, make them buy stuff, and then rob them when they get around the corner type stuff. Of course, they gonna find, when they find land that they can get for themselves, when ain't no Moorish protections or, extra lands, even though those lands probably had the indigenous Moors or the family who, live in nature, and they were part of no international commerce, or they might have been, but ain't had protections like they should. And one of the Columbus will go on playing across. And then he said, thank God. Thank God no more's around this motherfucker. A little further down, so we deal with thank God, which is in Panama, I believe. We're going to find out later in this. A little further down, before arriving to Puerto Caribaro, one entered the land of Canaria. So now we're dealing with the Colombia area. The Gulf of Nicaragua began in Herradura, ending in Cabo Blanca. And I think they call Sapindura, or I think Berberia today. And Cabo Blanco is the next today, is Cape White. Abundant the maracas. So the maracas is what they used to make the purple dyes, the Phoenicians and the Carthaginians. So they're showing you they've been getting them from some way, and they ain't been the areas where we got tunas and all that at the day. So the Carthaginians been getting it from somewhere else. Its second Carthage was in Limon, and that's in Colombia, I think, or in the lagoon that drained down the Diablo River. So I think that's about Colombia, Venezuela. Appointed Governor Diego Gutierrez in 1541, he renamed the province, so look up his name in his story, with the name of Costa Rica. So that's what we're dealing with now. Making it preach that the use of the old place name will be punished with 100 lashes. So see how you forget. And that's also how you became black too. You have to go with the names they gave you after being conquered. And you conquer people, all they did was take over the governance of your state and make you work for pennies And if you fight, ship you somewhere else. Somewhere close by, some camp. They got set up. Some fort they set up somewhere. Like I said in the earlier video, the Castilians had forts in the coldest areas of Brazil. South America, in the Patagonian region, the Magellan Sea, Argentina, the tip. We getting close to fucking Antarctica. They had camps, so let's go. Making it preach that the use of the old name, the 100 lashes, as tradition persisted, the population moved and called new cultures to it. Even the indigenous people who been fed up moved to somewhere else and named it New Carthage. That's how much they knew that it was Carthage to them up until this late in the game. So Benzoni included Costa Rica and the Canary Islands. So they included Costa Rica and the Canary Islands, which would throw people off when they're looking in the old books. Then they talking about Costa Rica over there. Having observed that the natives melted the gold, giving it the shape of eagles, evidence that they've been Carthaginians find the same type of stuff that they got. Depopulated Carthage. Okay, now they dealing with the genocide. They wiping out people. In 1599, the Tower of Santa Cruz was erected. They called the Santa Cruz in old books Santa Cruz de Africa, of Africa. So they've been calling this place Africa. Dismantled in 1601. Leon the African, which meant a Christian Mo from Africa, and history placed the Carthage of Queen Dido in the natural core of the Bay of Tunisia. So he been the ones who write a lot of the Moorish history. But he put it all in Northwest Africa like we see it today. But he was working for the Vatican, so that should tell you something. Leon the African. She used him a lot as the reference of how the name of the book is Africa versus America. So she basically explained how a lot of the stuff happened here. He stayed over there. And she used him as an example of how they make mistakes. So, harassed by the Romans who rebuilt it conserved. So that's why I say you inherit from the Roman Empire and the Moorish Empire, because they just rebuilding old stuff. And see, it conserves Punic Tower, which I'm gonna make another video about the architecture of this all over the Americas, and discovered underwater. So that's some new level stuff we can go look into. Perhaps it marks the limit of the Carthaginian influence in the Mediterranean after the Battle of Alalia. So we deal with Punic walls and stories with certain parts of popular history don't put Carthage or Rome in the Americas. The Western Hemisphere ain't been discovered yet in popular history dealing with Roman Carthage history. And that's how we're supposed to think about it. But yeah, she got the record books in her family library. In 1470, Genoese navigators were between Mount Gambal, and the Cape of Carthage, where the sea is deeper, abounding pirates. And the sea is deeper, she put that in quotes because she believed, which makes sense, that throughout time, certain islands would appear in the Atlantic and disappear based off how high the Atlantic is at this period of time, or how low it is. Certain parts higher, certain parts lower. And you have to learn how to navigate it. And ship hits up, you really see. And they refrained from landing because the Moors did not receive Christians, you see. The Moors are already over here. And that's the Genoese navigators. You know, these ain't even the Spanish. It's before 1492, they over here. People, Europeans. And you know, most likely these people white look like them, and it's it's all it's all more just at the end of the day, both sides. In the time of Juan Castellanos, with the Castile people now, it was rumored among conquerors that Romans and Carthaginians frequented the Indies. So even before getting on ships and riding through, they already had these stories, which she know because she got paperwork and documents before 1492 that talks about these places, but they don't use the term America, so you gotta use your clues. You should use your clues and find out that even tons of communication between America and Al-Andalus, at least, and that just her records in that family, the Medina Sidonia family. So you watch her video on YouTube where she say all of Europe nobility erased the ethnic past. She's her precise words, and she exposed hers. Her ancestor was a marinate named Martyr something, and a lot of the letters in there from that. And the Medina Sidonia families, they lived on both sides, mailing each other back and forth. And at the beginning, she put all the different national descent people, the different descents who she believed from her research existed in America before this 1492 hoax. So she named like 30 different motherfuckers: the Genoese, the Templars, the Moors, the Jews, of course, and the Portuguese, the Spaniards, everybody been already over here before the 1492. Matter of fact, she said the 1492 story been hatched much after 1492 on paper. So people after 1492 look at this place as a lost world or a new world being discovered. Could discovered at that time meant recognized, discovered. And they mix the stories up. They got more than one Columbus. They got... Well, let's continue. I don't want to make this too long because I'm going to be reading from this. And without waiting for Columbus. So basically, she's saying, yeah, before Columbus, this already been going on. Assuming they confirm the Aborigines having their own word to designate Carthage. So they had their own word, but it was a version of the word Carthage called Kataski, which the Latin would be Carthago. The Latin of the Rome, Italy, would be Carthago on the maps. And Fernando's de Oviedo, he been doing a lot of the purposely trying to make it look like this a new world. But they've been licensed to make war on the Moors of Berberia, which would mean come over here and kill some Indians in our history books. That's what that means. But the record books say licensed to go make war on the Moors or capture blacks. When you Moors to them, you been a sovereign, so it was made war against. When you is listed as blacks to them, which that's all just with this dark-skinned people who ain't had the protection of sheriffs over here. That's it. And they would put on the record books captured blacks. And then she got these in letters. And let's continue. Fernandez de Oviedo picks up the curiosity, mentioning the succession of Carthage in Costa Rica and Mercus, the purple raw material, Hiram of Tyre, Solomon's partner on the expert on the expert in purple. So, that show that how I connected to that biblical story and what Noah Drawley actually telling us too. Son of a woman of Dan's daughters. He obtained it from the raised reds, superior to the violet of Sidon. So basically telling you that they had these violets better than one they had in Sidon, which we supposed to believe is where Jerusalem is located in Carthage. I mean not Carthage, Phoenicia. King Yuba of Mauritania produced purple. So now I'm betting King Yuba over here, which I believe Cuba come from, and some other places, Euboea. Penetrating into imperial Rome. So even the Romans had this Costa Rican Mercus. After the acquisition of Carthage and the Mauritanians, you see, Rome inherit Carthage. So everything that's Roman is Mauritanian. It is not surprising that in the mines of Alca, located in Castelia del Oro, which is another trick they use to move places. Castelia del Oro, Wikipedia will take you to the Maghreb over there under Castilian rule. I think the Maghreb or either the West, the slave coast, one of the two. But over there somewhere. But according to her research, Castelia del Oro been the area we talking now. I think she got many maps inside her book to make it look plain. Octavio Augusto's currency appeared in the 18th century. Antonio de Aloa and French dyer Berthollet, travelers in the Indies, watched as the Indians of Guatemala and Nicoya dyed cotton thread. So you got the French, and you got another sound looks like Italian, already in the Indies, and they watching these people make these purple dyes. Okay. And that's what the source of that last piece, 34, I think. Yeah, the source. Some of these books you can get in her sources. Some of them inside her library, you can get it, but you have to have like a society, and they'll have to check you out and let you come through. I read these old records. The family had a fight for these records. She been trying not to give them to them, for all kind of reasons, political. And she married on her deathbed. She been a lesbian on her deathbed. They try to make that controversy. Try to make her look like she try to rewrite history, but she just pointed out how history already been rewritten. But he dealing with morals, so of course, and he dealing with this American estate, so of course, the Christian powers can't let her even. But they let this book can't come out. You can't really stop publications. It's unavailable on Amazon, but people already put it on the internet in Spanish. Okay. And some of the sources from what we just read. And you see, some of these is the books that she got and the documents that she got. Alonso de Chavez places Caxilas on the coast of Honduras. And I translated all of these from this book. Port Royal. 4 leagues to the north of Port Royal, to the south of Ferna, Round, and 4 islets and bases. There were 14 Carthage port. They were the 14th Carthage port. That's why I'm trying to. There's a video called Carthage in America, 14th one, and 1470 before 1492. Anselmo and Juan Adorno supposed pilgrims to the Holy Land were between the Mount Gibal and the Cape of Carthage. It is where the sea is deepest and the most frequent by pirate ships. They stumbled upon a Moorish whoop. They did not disembark because the Moors did not allow Christians to enter Carthage without authorization from the king, from the book Slaves and Servants in the Mediterranean society during the Middle Ages. Surveys describe Maya, which is Maurya, like the Mauryan Empire, and the Mahayajab, so-called India, the ancient Indians. And that's what Maya. Shout out to Queen he broke that. And I checked it as a fact. So, the small boat breezes in southern Cuba. Okay. Some more sources. This from the first one we read. And La Boca de Bahia, which is 8 leagues west of Nombre de Dios, which is the name of God, a name of a place called the name of God. It's in South America. We're gonna check that out later. The Guanages, the Guanages in Honduras. Catayo, which is another version of Carthage. Cartago, as in Mayville. Huatquipango, for Cardinal Liberian of Innocent the 7th, the land of gold, the Sierra of Cartier. Now you can see a lot of these K-A-R, K-A-T, K-O-R, C-O-R. I mean, like, it's amazing. It got one of the names from Mexico. We're going to get into that later. But Carthage is one of those words. And Carolina and California. I don't think I got that map, but on the map you got on California, you got California or Carolina on that map. That like I don't think you on the slide. And they call the people in the Marina Kingdoms in the Pacific the Carolinas as a name too. So you're all going back to something. The word quarter and Koresh and all those words still with us. We will get into that later about the god Carter, the goddess. We'll put it in Brazil, and this around family library. So much stuff in there, and a lot of the nobility today in Europe got documents and stuff like this that dealing with us, just sitting in there. And here's La Boca, still there today. That's in the old stories, the old documents. San Juan de Dios, they used to be at Números de Dios, the name of God. And you can still find it on all maps. I still might be there, I just ain't find it. Let's go. Then we got Abachecate, Colombia. We're gonna deal with that later. Qataria. It got something to do with Carthage. And let's thank God for Columbus' name allegedly. Another Belmo, Panum, and Belize. All this dealing with ancient Phoenician and Carthage. And we got the words Campake, Kipai, recruits. They see if they're recruits, you're dealing with Moors and Christians. And this right here been one of the sources that I found out the book Africa versus America. It's in Spanish too, but I'm not gonna read it. I just wanna deal with this part right here where they talk about the goddess Car. Go look that up. And the different words that connected to it. Even Caracas, which is the capital of Venezuela. From Central America to the south, the geographical and ethnographical words, prefixes on the words, dealing with Carl, ancient, and they call this book here, chapter called Brazil, the land of Canaan, you know, and this, you see the Peruvian Moors, the Andalusians on this side, the Carthaginians. We got Zama, where Hannibal allegedly lose at, and we got the Alps, which, if you see right here, you got San Juan de Oro. That's a gold mine. Every time you see a de Oro, like Castilla de Oro, they deal with gold. We got the word Katama, Kariawa, Waya, Karawaya, Coliagues, Canas, you know, Caca, Conches, Cawinas, still around, based off the stories. Cotabamba. And La Paz, it's going to be a lot of La Paz from America. That's just the American way of saying fast. Or peace. Islam, Spanish for peace. Maca, we know that's Mecca. And Paria, we know that's Paris. Cara, Moro, La Plata. We see stuff like La Plata, we know we're dealing with Christian and Moors. All this is Moorish to me. We got Anda, Gue, Las, and we get Andalusia from that word. And the Andes people on this side. Just want to show a little bit of Peru. How they got the words just like the Central American Carthage, the ports. You get inside Carthage, you still dealing with the Moors going all the way down. That's the divide. She believed that the story of the Mauritanian story, when they did the Rome divide Carthage into Mauritania into two. Caesarea and the other one. Tangentins and stuff like that. And she believes, but that story is still making sense. With Hannibal, and I speak about this in one of the older videos. But it was so low, I just had to do it over and do it a little quicker. And here is the area that we're talking about. And it split somewhere in here that split this. See the line right there. And you know that's modern day, so what else we gonna get? You know. But you can see the architecture in the Andalusian and Moorish Mediterranean style. Even on this. Okay, let's go quick. Carthaginians to the natives, same book. Carthaginians to the natives, based on her story. Deep Bride dedicated one of his prints to the silent market, which the Carthaginians of the Indies celebrated. And if you go look on the map, they still got the Carthaginians of the Indies. And what else? Peru. On my map, it said Indiarum. I think it said Carthago Indiarum, the Carthage of the Indians, of the Indies, the Carthage of the Indies. Still to the same name. And the time of the conquerors. So, if this how I look at it too, and then she look at it the same way. We got more of what's we know of Carthage over here than we have and what history telling us at where it was. Say, Carthage was a group of wooden houses and huts burned by the French privateers in 1556. The neighbors moved away from the coast, finding the new inner Carthage, which subsists. So we see New Carthage still to this day. That's what she's saying. The Santa Cruz Tower was built in 1499, short-lived since it was dismantled in 1601. And Honduras, Costa Rica, Carthage, and Cartago, the two Carthages, and San Miguel national border coincide with the conquest. So she gonna tie into a conquest that she reading about in her records with this area. It is said that the Colombian Carthage was found by Juan de Robledo in 1540. It is in the vicinity of the two routes which connected Peru with Cartagena. So we see that earlier at this side. She wrote a lot of stuff on this one too, but you can't really see it. Anyway, the Caucasus River. So we got the Caucasus Mountain called Caucasia in this area, and the capital of Venezuela right next to Caucasia is called Caracas. So, like I say, a lot of the Moors who losing in those wars between Moors and Christians or whatever. And that area could have been coming to North America as captives, prisoners of war. And probably brought up those terms like Caracas and Caucasus Mountain stories. You already know CMB. If you don't know, CMB put the story of their creation in South America. A little further down, but over time we can get these stories, and they all can be happening on one continent, and we think it happening on the other side of the world, because some cardinals sit down and rewrite everything. Right? And the horseshoe of the Neiva Valley. Make sure your story carded. Before being evicted by the power of Castile, the natives resided in adobe houses protecting Bogota outside its temple with golden copper plates. They deceived the conquerors because they believed them of solid gold. In imitation of the Incas, they worshipped the sun and secondary to the moon. So they've been sun and moon worshippers, right? Pre-Islamic Carthaginian. And we find these temples today in the Alamo style churches all across this land. Those used to have a crescent on most of those. Yeah. The cross is the sun. Even like we corrupted at that time, at this point. Okay, they got building octagonal towers. So that's still we get into Moroccan style, more Tunisian style architecture. The institution of, similar to the cues of New Spain. So even, like I say, in the Mexico area, the women dressed in fashion in Nicaragua, and they dressed in more Spain fashion. The institution of Mayor Zago being on since they transmitted the goods by birthright line and betrayed in between Andalusia and this area for a while. That respect for the individual was proportional to the number of domestic deities gathered, could allow to establish a relationship with the family means of all Rome. In the surrounding of Carthage, they were and find place names which the conquerors could hardly have conceived. So basically she's saying these Spanish conquerors that the stories claim that they created all this based off their supposed love for these old stories. Thus, she says she can't really buy that. And they can't either. Antioch, Palmyra, Armenia, and Susa. And that Susa, was a Moorish Moroccan Empire kingdom that sits, it's called Sus in Morocco. And you have the king of Sus in these stories could have been talking about Susa. And the land of the Ponches, go look them up. They Moors all over South America. Palma and Tenerife, which is Colombia. That whole area was Tenerife. It was Venezuela, Colombia, New Andalusia, Tenerife. They were related with the Moors and the Canaries and the Moors of Northwest Africa, known as so-called Berbers. And we got a Tenerife right there in the Canary too. We got two more. Let's go. Conditioned by the ignored continent paradigm, archaeologists declared exceptions findings, which are because they have been preserved in hostile climate conditions. Now for another cause. Statues of the Mexican archaic evokes a Sumer, or the Aegean Islands, you see. Dealing with the Carthaginians, the Romans, the so-called Greeks, is dealing with them Mediterranean, Sardinia. In Aztec heads, we found the look of the scribe. So we're dealing with the Mandinkas, scribes of the ancient empire. All Asian features in the Buddha similes. So, we got the Buddha versions of those statues down there too. She explained in both of them. And the way she explained gonna be real deep. Says they might not be proof that every civilization goes through the same stage in their order, indicating the logical mimicry. So basically she's saying the same way stories say Africans left Africa and went into ancient China, Asia, and became like this, right? She's saying, we can look at patterns and maybe it happened on both sides the same way over time. Who knows? But that been deep, the way to think about it like that. Exchange effect denied by the Colombian Orthodoxy. So basically she's saying, and I paraphrasing all the stuff too because I read the whole book, so I coming from other points that I just, that's why I tell you at the beginning, just go get the whole book. Be hard to really just pick out certain parts and see where mine stay there. But she basically talking about a Colombian Orthodoxy that are fake modern day historians and archaeologists based off, finding Negro skulls over here, which throwing off this story that the Catholic Church got that show Asians over here being genocide when they first came. A couple hundred years later, they gonna bring Africans later, so we shouldn't find ancient African skulls, Negroid or whatever they want to call it, in the Americas. So that's what you call a Colombian Orthodoxy, a fake. Even the brightest minds of today. The towers of the fortress, she know it as a bullshit because she got the actual records that talk about this place before 1492. The towers of the fortress of the people's Indians. Remember those of medieval Sparta or Islamic places, you see? The alleged sacrifices of maidens thrown into the crater of Nicaragua could be a ceremonial replica, which traditions placed in Tayegeto. Less fierce Olmecs, they sacrificed pigeons in the Roman way. Admitted the kinship of voodoo with African culture. So she's saying the world admits that they got African cultures over here and the indigenous peoples are, people who live in the so-called indigenous fashions. And its presence is attributed to imported slave, you see? She because she looking around and see what's going on at this time, 1992, when she wrote this book. But she, they say 30 years or 20 years of research. she said they attribute these shit to imported slave, but they are not to exclude contracts of free men. You see, they're saying between the two Africas. So she said, in her mind, in her research, people already been going back and forth without the be way before the slave trade so-called story. Just in case you, even if that's a part of it, don't contribute the whole thing that you find in these things over here based off that you'd be mistaken. The Egyptian practiced sun worship, elevated by Akhenaten to official religion, with great disgust of the powerful priest of Amun. They are seen extinguishing the dynasty after the premature death of the sun. The pyramid is Egyptian but also American, like the cult of the sun and moon in Tiwanaku. There is a Puerta del Sol, Port of the Sun, to which a temple was dedicated in Cusco. Remember, Cusco was one of the Moorish cities in Peru. And it's spelled the Moorish American way with a Z instead of S or the Spanish. Cusque, French and shit like that. Revered in Palenque. You know, Palenque, the stories of Palenque is switched up. The population of the Yucatan representing satellite and star and wheel of gold silver. In Guatemala and Nicaragua, possessions were made to the temples of the sun, walking the idol, and pilgrimage was celebrated, you see. Cusco was like a Mecca on the side. They had a Mecca in Mexico, and I think one in South America. But Cusco been one of those places too. There's a book out. I think I might have it in the slide, or if I don't, it might be in another one that talk about all that. How they had a god, Aliyu, which is similar to Allah, and it's amazing how much people lying and hiding. Being the main god in Tierra Firma, which been called Tierra de Negros, the land of blacks, one of the places they went on their kidnapping crusades. Ecuador and Peru. Ecuador and Peru. Ecuador used to be, well, Ecuador is, that's where they get equator from, but Ecuador used to be Esmeraldas. Taken over and became Ecuador. Huasquez, Chronicle of Aguirre, describe Residero next to the Amazon. So, let me see. Yeah, all these stuff to go look at. At the entrance of there were two sacrifices, and one appeared figure of a man topped by the sun, and the other a woman under the moon. You see? This is the mother and son, the Muslim. Being wooden, they disappeared hopelessly. Okay, I think it's the last one. I'm after this. Like, it's to be too long, I get probably can hear my voice. Hurry this out, let's go. The zero meridian of the Dirk Diker al Aquilum, which is a Moorish Islamic ideologic map of the so-called climate race. You know the climate race, when they want to make it as if people of certain climates become a certain complexion, right? And she gonna go through one of them that she believed the person, this, I forget who made it, but they made it's in this book, it made the Decatur Aqualum, and she believed they've been recognizing the Americas as Africa and Berberia based off the climate. My first video talks about this, and that's this part. It does not match that of Ptolemy. Passed by the island of Aran in the Sea of India, crossed by the equator, the chance of making mistakes are reduced to choosing between Sumatra and Borneo. It is possible that It coincides with the meridian chosen by the geographers of Carlos I of Spain and Juan III of Portugal, gathered in Elvas in 1524. Elvas and boy Washington Irving Brooklyn talking about the Moors of Spain. He said to divide the wealth of the islands of Berberia, Moluccas or Moluccas, delimiting the area of influence of both crowns. So they call over here the Moluccas too at one point. The Moluccas that they do on the other side of the empire, the Eastern Asian. Reduce the fear of excommunication due to the rise of Lutheranism. It is logical that they took advantage of the occasion to seek alternative moral force, justifying the monopoly of the Indies. You see, it's all about taking the shit. Finding it in the legend of discovery, wanting to document. She put that in course because that means recognize or conquer. Wanted to document it, they extended the meridian of the demarcation to the antipodes, passing through Fumes east of the Amazon, including the Cape of Arguer, to the conquest of Castile. See, the Cape of Arguer, which deals with Morocco on the other side, but she ain't talking about that side. And this right here is one of the original records of the old places when they first came of New Spain. Got Port of New Spain, the Port of Tierra Firme. And they had Portobello, Cartagena, Santa Marta, and these some of their own names. Maracaibo, and we already know what that is. They got the Maracaibo Sea. In the Maracaibo Sea, they got the Straits of Gibraltar. Carac, like Guaquera, Cumana, Cumanac, Margarita, Trinidad de la Guerra, Buenos Aires, Veracruz, Capeque, Tuasco, Havana, Santo Domingo, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Honduras, and La Florida, which is the south. So we're in it. And division without effect, because although Spain intended to take their rights to the Great River, the King of Portugal never consented. As such, Felipe II had the manor of Guinea in Brazil from 1580, losing both provinces, Felipe IV in 1640. So let's go look up the Inca King's painting in Lima, Peru, and you'll see who these Felipe is, dark-skinned brothers, occupying the islands of the Indies from the time of Columbus to the American independence. You see how the empire started fracturing during the American independence era. From Florida to the islands of Windward, limits that except in the period of the union of the two crowns. Around American independence time, we got the United States doing treaties with the Emperor Morocco, right? The Emperor Morocco, we still dealing with the empire on this side of the world. What I see, from reading her book, is the last time the last people to buy a square, or not buy a square, but ask for a grant for a square, like Portugal and Spain been doing, and France, was the United States, the newly made country. And they had to go to the southern Morocco for that square like everybody else. And in her book, she got that in Brazil. So that's what got everybody confused right now. Like, why the United States going over there to get permission to have a square over here in Moroccan lands? People can't see that because they're looking at Morocco instead of Marruecos over here. at this time, and she's saying that basically to the American independence, 1700, late 1700s when they did this treaty. They still dealing with the kingdom affairs, you see. From Florida to the islands of Woodward, limits limit that except in the period of the union of the two crowns, Castile and Aragon, did not exceed the vessels destined for the God of the Indies. Away from the conquest of Castile, which began on the banks of Rio de Plata, over here, she kept herself. She kept herself because the privateers who stretch out to land, which stems not to have belonged to the kingdom of Fez, are rare. You see, lands over here that wasn't under the Sharifian rule rulership was rare. They had to look for lands that we ain't even that care about, which been like I said at the tip of Arizona, um, Argentina, coal ass area up there in the north areas probably just you know just let them motherfuckers have that. Interestingly, the Decatur Aquila did not initiate the description of the climates at its zero meridian, with the exception of the fourth, which part of Tangier, see, adopt that of Ptolemy, west of the Western Sea, located in the silent gold market of Ghana, resident of the Negus, king of Ethiopia. So all that right there, she's saying, and even in these old stories, we gotta relook at these stories because Ethiopia existed. That's one of the names that they call over here Africa, Berberia, Mariacos. These names got two stories to it now, based off. They like we can go look at these records all day and they'll just have these names and we don't know which one they're talking about. Unless we just put in these stories. We do like she did and do the research, like she's seen different crops that come from these places and be like, well shit, ain't no crops coming from those places that we perceive to be Ethiopia or whatever. So it defines the country as rich in minerals, stone, and mines, noting that the natives swarm naked, and Ethiopia places the kingdom of Saba. It conserved in Bilquis, its capital, two pillars, memory of visit of Solomon. So I gotta look up Bilquis, see what that is. Say conserved in Bilquis. A Yamen and Tierra de Negro. So now we got Yamen over here. This is the old world, man. Tierra de Negro is Brazil area. Enjoyed 2 winters and many other crops. So in the capital, Sana, there were no trees or crops. The inhabitants, similar to the Bedouins, right? They got the Bedouins under Moorish rule, lived in houses of cooked brick, decorated and gilded. They fed on fish, exporting precious stone. They took exporting. You see, they took from the sea. No doubt pearls, crimping them with the local specialty. Forests and palm trees covered the mountains of Naran, one of its cities. They housed colonies of monkeys which ravaged vineyards and cornfields. The port of Uman, walled, had iron doors, rice, rye, wheat, sweet cane were grown. So that basically showing us we deal with Brazil. The sugar industry being important. The use of bonnet was reserved for the nobles. In Bahrain, country of the second climate, so dealing with the climate zone, it was enough to scratch the earth to find water, surrounded by the foliage of dunes, palm trees, pomegranates, citrus trees, fig trees, cotton flourished in the sand. Isha ibn al-Hassan al-Ziyad point out the longitude, so I guess that's who she getting this from, and latitude of the populations, but not those located in the countries of Al-Hind and Al-Sind. So basically, it coming from a Moorish perspective, the Islamic Arabic perspective. Neighbor, the first from outside China, it formed instead of islands, based by the Dead Sea, named by which the Atlantic Ocean was known. So she showed how she really showed how some people even knew about this place before the World War II era. But looking through their works, they use terms that still used today on the other side of the world. Like I say, I believe the Catholic did that on purpose to throw us off, using these terms that have been listed over here and renaming places over there with these terms. And she gonna talk about this in the next one, the last one, right here. And it's the region that they found it at. They found the skull. As you say, they found an acid. These skulls look at the same genetic thing. They just don't talk about some shit. Okay. Brazil area. They find right. Luzia. Andalusia. Found her on the other side of the Andes, but you know. So had the geography of the circular continents been preserved, tropical America would continue to be called Africa, or Tierra de Negros, the land of blacks. So Spanish records had Africa listed and land of black listed in their records. Most of the records and the letters between back and forth, they be calling this place Allende or Alimar, which means the overseas. They had Berberia, which means land of the Moors. They had Mauritania and some. The Castilians had the West Indies. That's the name of the Castilians for it. Different groups had different names. The Catholic Church, when they split it between them, they used the name Kingdom Affairs. One of the popes, I think the other pope used a different name. But these were names before the name Americas was used on paper. And Gloger theory would have been accepted. You see, Gloger, his theory been that dark-skinned people existed on this side just like they existed on the other side of the Atlantic, making it just the divide between the Ethiopians. He had that theory in the past and they been shut down because of this new discovery theory. Steal your land. So they ignore me, man. He realized this. Shit, a tropical area we always find dark-skinned people, so Brazil shouldn't be, and the Amazon shouldn't be no different. A lot of stuff happened over in them areas in that time period, in a long time period. We're dealing with the Punic Wars, and we're dealing with the Conquista. So without the detriment of the church. So theory would be accepted, saving us an additional lie, right? Without the detriment of the church to the church. Basically, they still would have been able to rock if they just had accept the fact that some of the indigenous people had been similar to the Ethiopians or the Africans. You know, give it a percentage. But this story you don't exist on this side of the world if you too doubt. Period. Which is too hard to understand, too hard for people to take serious. That's why people doing research about that. It worked for the most part politically, but that lie shattering. They should have, like she said, they should have mixed it up a little. Nothing is simpler than resorting to St. Augustine to adapt the principle to the grave. It is is adapted to evolution as evidence accumulate which prevent it from being denied, you see. According to the insulted anthropologist and his follower Lysenko, the, the descendants of the Pithecanthropus lost the hair protection, acquired skin color, adapting to the climate context, you see. Protected the Eskimos by thick layers of fat and consequently dark. The man of the north, deprived of the sun, had it so white that they could absorb until the last ray, acquiring the indispensable energy. In the warm region, on the contrary, they produce an extraordinary dose of melanin, dyeing it from olive to black, a character that was added in particularly hot and humid regions with the broad and flat nose, which facilitate breathing and curly hair. So she's just going over the theory of climate and genetic changes of the planet. We all should know about that by now. And I don't think she particularly agrees with it at this thing. She's just pointing that out. Her book is about Africa versus America, so she uses all proofs that we've been on this side, and a lot of the stuff that we think happened on the other side, that happened on this side. Okay, the president of indigenous blacks in southern India, northern Australia, and the Pacific Islands endorsed this thesis. You see, she dealing with that map that I showed on the video I did earlier about the three Africas. I didn't even include India in that, but if you look at that map, it shows India in that climate zone. But the alleged absence of Aboriginal blacks drew it to the ground in the American tropics. You see how they make it look like they populate the area with blacks from Africa, right? As a result of no allusion to the black population in the chronicles of the discoverers and the conquerors of America, and the opinion that endured despite the finding of Lucy. You see, even after finding Lucy, they still give you that story that they bring you away. And her record book showing that they been capturing blacks like crazy over here and fighting against Moors. So it already look ridiculous to her how the whole world believe in this shit. So 11,000 years ago BC, found in Minas Gerais, more than a millennium ahead of time, the arrival of man on the subcontinent of South America certified the presence of man of color before the arrival of Columbus. Continuing the excavation, you see, we, to this day, I have people of our own stock, so-called black people, come to my post when they talk about Lucy over here. They want to make it look like that she ain't been so-called black. But this lady straight up calling her American black. And some else want to make it as if she got from Africa, like we got evidence of that, which could be true based off the same Ethiopia, so both sides of the divide of the Atlantic Ocean. Still, you just can't exist the people. That's the most Christian thing for a motherfucker to come tell me that you can't exist over here with a certain complexion over before a certain time period. You can't beat them over here, you know what I'm saying? And we perpetuate that. Because people kind of might post look like me, want to tell me that Lucia ain't look like that they did with the 3D remodeling from the bone structure. They do that all the time to find people missing, people who've been missing for a while. They turn to the scout and they be like, yeah, that's my daughter who died in the 80s or got missing in the 80s or whatever. They find them and they make them, he work that time, but they don't work against Lucia, you know, right? Or he work, they practice all the time. They'll get an X-ray of a person and try to make them, give them to one of the 3D architecture, scout architects, and they will try to make them look like that person. They'll put the real person picture face up and say, yeah, that look good, perfect. So now on us though, they want to act like that's a faulty science because he looked like my mother. So I'm missing the archaeologists responsible in accident. You see, they just don't even know. They think the Columbus story is real. Did not love to see his discovery published, being decimated in the semi-restricted scope of the publication of the scientific vulgarization in the year 2000. So the person who discovered this ain't know what a controversy going on right now about this. Species that populated the Pangaea and the Cretaceous were not absent from the America, nor did they stop their evolution because change cannot stop and continue adapting the form to the medium until the character will fix in a degree that we cannot specify at the moment. It seemed clear that the descendants of black established in the land of whites or vice versa retain and transmit the skin color if there is no genetic crossing. You see, she basically saying even the Eskimos going to stay dark even if they're in that climate. So take it for a grain of salt. In the so-called land of white, she used in this book different terms to describe people based on our own perception of what we see. In our modern times, we use these colors. So in order for us to get an understanding of some of the parts of this book, she used the colors. Sometimes she calling you Moors, sometimes she calling you blacks. Because she dealing with how we gonna think about it. So that's the end of this one. And that's some of the records that she got. And this one they say the 1475 mayoral and judge of blacks and well, when you see blacks and blacks, that's just a mistranslation from on the part of my translator. But in the Spanish record, they used to have masculine and feminine. So you would have been negro and negras. So this male is the male of the negro and the negras in Seville, I think, in Spain. But she believes some of these been the captured so-called blacks of Brazil being brought to Spain. Over time, they see this before 1492, showing that they already were coming away. And a parrot is the so-called like the Mexican or the natives that we you know. She called them the yellow or the red throughout the book. And yeah, shit real. And this male been dark skinned. He been working with the Christian powers named Validolid. And they used to call him the most noble of the blacks, something like that. So they let him rule over the certain towns of the so-called blacks in Spain at this junction. It's a whole lot to explain, but she underlined certain parts that talk about the parts that she got down at the bottom. And yeah, shit real. I ain't gonna read this. You can read this on your own. Just more stuff. Deal with these. You see, 1506. They're dealing with. She making note of these because it's dealing with the actual slave trade story, but it's in America. It's like in one of the places in America and getting shipped out of America, maybe to another part, or like I say, some of them ending up in Spain. They end up creating a group. Most over here who've been captured and going to Spain, end up creating a group in Seville called Los Negritos. And they had a way the same outfit of the Klan. And they didn't even let pale people join until the 1800s. You already know they probably not take over the whole organization now, but that's what it was. This right here is money to buy them in Ghana or Berberia. You see, sometimes they'll use the word Ghana or they'll use the word Berberia, which means land of Moors or purpose. They would use these in documents before 1492 to designate this land away. And these from Spaniards and stuff like that. Some of them she got from Andalusian Moors and Moors from this side, even under Islamic things like the Emperor Morocco in 1600s reigning old ancient Moorish Spanish or Moorish American Latin. Over here in the 1600s, she got letters showing Mahamate, Moors with names like that. One of the stories she got Moors from Andalusia getting kicked out in 811 AD, 818 AD, coming over here and establishing Fez. Shit real. And she was saying how a lot of them were coming home and back and forth like that and nothing. That's just the saying, 2 whoops of the Duke, because the Portuguese mistreat them. And some of the people began mistreated by the Portuguese. And the Spanish and the Castilians would have been fighting them. They'd have been fighting the Castilians and the Moors and the Portuguese together fighting this thing. Talking about that shit is crazy, man. Mixed wars. She get into how they whitenized this area of the Americas. We've been us. They were shipped in a bunch. And we noticed though, we know this happened again recently in Brazil. The whitenizing of Brazil. They fly planes of immigrants in Brazil recent times. It's been too dark. Look, something happened at Christmas. Some shit that got something to do with Indian slaves. She used the term Indian sometimes to donate a person from this side. Basically, it can be anybody from this side. She said some of the slaves that were coming into Brazil been so light, even like so-called white people coming from here as slaves to Brazil. She was saying a lot of the captive in certain places they wouldn't ride by because Moors would capture them in Saleh, which been over here this time too. They came in affairs. That's a lot to swallow, but subscribe. I'm gonna translate this whole book for the Moorish Americans. They gonna go through this, study this thing, you know. And peace till next time.